What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Extra Point College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Carnes, joined as always by my co-host, Daniel Hammock. Daniel, a little bit of a different setting for me on the road this week for work in Tampa, Florida, where I lived for a couple of years. So good to be back down here in the warm weather. My wife is from here. She texted me today saying, is the weather perfect? Is it, is the sea breeze hitting you in the face? I'm so jealous. And I told her it was pouring down rain, dark and cloudy and rainy. She then looked up the weather, sent me a screenshot. So I took a picture of some palm trees and sun and then colored some clouds on it and drew some rain and lightning and sent it back to her as evidence that it was clearly bad weather. So none of that has to do with college football, but
Did you go back to PDQ?
I have not been to PDQ yet. I thought about going for lunch tomorrow. I think PDQ is overrated. That has nothing to do with my current employer, but my wife does love some PDQ. So shout out PDQ. I think they're okay. And again, nothing to do with who I'm employed by, but overrated.
Blink twice if you're in trouble.
Oh goodness, Daniel, we got a big week ahead. Do not let people fool you into thinking this is not a big week for college football, because it absolutely is a big week for college football, because the best part of college football is the regular season.
If I was going to present to you this Saturday's slate of games in March, you would gladly take it 10 times over. Okay. So even a week that might be full of undercard, it's still better than nothing. So I mean,
yeah, Ole Miss-LSU is a lot sexier in March. I mean, it's real sexy in March. And another quick shout out, Daniel. It's Wednesday night. It's actually 12:01 on the East Coast. How about them Braves,
dude? Taking it to them, man. We're taking it to them.
How about them?
To quote Coach Yost, "Run it up, Herman. Leave no doubt." Eddie Rosario opens it up with a 3-run homer. Braves win 9-2. One win away.
One win away. Daniel, the slate this week, we have Pitt and Clemson, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, LSU, UCLA, Oregon, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, USC. Daniel, outside of those games, what is a game that you're excited to watch this weekend?
Well, I actually am interested to see a game that, I mean, it's off the radar for the sheer fact of it's not consequential to anything other than the ACC Coastal. All right. UVA versus Georgia Tech at night on ACC Network, 7:00. Georgia Tech is one of these teams where they are Jekyll and hiding you throughout the season. You don't really know what's going to show up. I do think that they have a lot of upside, and they are just a few wins away from potentially being a bowl team. Obviously, they got Georgia still left on the schedule. Notre Dame still left on the schedule. Teams that I think they're going to struggle with. So you got to get these wins. But UVA is having a great year so far by their standards, and they could be the coastal representative. They put some more wins behind it. So that's what I'm looking at. I like that on ACC Network, kind of their showcase game at 7:00.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. My game is going to be the game that just happened tonight. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Well, that doesn't count.
Coastal Carolina and App. And
I
Daniel,
picked it on our other sheet, so I got it right.
And App State, shout out to App State, knocks off Coastal Carolina. You love to see it.
Can we say order has been restored for the group of 5?
Absolutely. Look, the Sagarin rankings had Coastal Carolina playing the 159th toughest schedule. You heard me right, Daniel. There are 127 FBS teams. That means there are some FCS teams that have had a tougher schedule so far than Coastal Carolina. So, order's been restored. App State back on top. Shout out to the Mountaineers. So, getting it done. There's a reason Coastal Carolina wasn't ranked in the XPR, because they're not one of the 25 best teams in the country. We can finally get off this topic now. Moving on. Daniel, what if I told you, I'll just say on August 30th, that Pitt will be favored by 3 against Clemson?
I would tell you that Pitt does not have them right where they want them. Pitt wants to be the underdog, okay?
They want to be
Pitt wants
coming
to
off.
sneak up with you. Pitt wants the high grass. Pitt wants to just be creeping up, ready to
They
pounce.
want to be coming off of a 5-game losing streak.
Yes.
And you're coming off a 5-game winning streak, just like
if they could have scheduled this game right after they lost to Western Michigan, that is when Pitt was ready. But right now,
100%. Oh goodness.
So this game, I do like the matchup for Pitt. I do think that they have the way superior quarterback. Kenny Pickett is having a phenomenal year so far. A bunch of just older players. Clemson has a great defense. They've been marred by injury here last couple weeks. So I think their depth is starting to take a toll, take a hit. Offensively, I think everybody, you and I included, are just I don't know if we truly believe that this is the finished product of the 2021 Clemson Tigers as far as their offense goes. I still feel like there's another gear that maybe they just need an oil change or something, and they're going to, get it going at some point, and they're going to, at least look competent on offense. I'm not saying they have to be anything spectacular, but I'm saying like a 30-point per game type of offense. Right now, it is not that. And so they are not an elite offense. They are a very good defense. I think that they would neutralize a lot of what Pitt wants to do. I just don't know if Clemson's going to be able to do enough on offense. Now, Clemson being an underdog is very enticing to just say, give me Clemson, give me 3 points. Clemson should win this type of game. I mean, my eyes, though, are just telling me Pitt's better. Pitt is better than them. They're at home. Excuse me. Pitt does not have them where they want them, but I'm going to take them. Pitt -3. Just give me Pittsburgh and let me go run and hide. I think that they win this game. 3 points doesn't seem like too much. If it was any more than that, I would absolutely take Clemson because I just don't trust it. But something tells me it's going to be like 24-20, and Pitt's just going to, run the clock out and win this game.
Clemson is an underdog in the ACC for the first time since 2016. Like, that's pretty insane. And I actually came in to our podcast right now not knowing who I was going to pick, and I was going to wait for you to pick because I've really gone both ways here.
Dude, I did the same thing. I just circled Pittsburgh. I have been sitting here. I wanted to see if I talked myself into it or out of it. I was like, it's not enough.
Here's the thing. Pitt has been the better team this year. They have the better offense. Clemson does have the better defense. They're dealing with injuries, though. That's the thing. And Pitt plays a good defense. So there's a reason they're favored by 3 points. There's a reason Vegas is having you lay points against Clemson. Maybe it's because it's been since 2016. I cannot fathom Clemson as an underdog against Pittsburgh. It does not register with me. You know what? I gotta catch some games up on you. You're kicking my butt in these picks right now. Give me Clemson. Give me underdog Clemson. This is what Dabo's been dreaming of, and salivating at the mouth for. That's right. Like, no one believes in you. He's been saying that when they've been 27-point favorites, and people are laying the points. But now, I mean, here's what I'm shocked about: 60% of the money is laying the points of Pitt. I would really think the opposite. The public would be like, Clemson is a dog. So I'll fade public, I guess. Clemson +3 with no logic behind it whatsoever.
That's the only way you can pick a Pitt game, man, with no logic.
And you know what? I do feel bad. We are a Pitt pod. We were a Pitt pod last year. I think we've gotten away from that. So I'm rooting for Pitt, but I'm picking Clemson. Let's go to the Big 12. Daniel, there are 2 ranked teams this week that are underdogs on the road against unranked teams. which is why I like our XPR. And Iowa State, they're not a 2-point, favorite at home. They're a 7-point favorite at home against Oklahoma State. Is that line fishy? Vegas onto something? Or is it, Oklahoma State's undefeated. Where are you going with this game?
Yeah, this is one of those where I think that perception, and I don't necessarily want to call it politics, but that's really kind of what it is, the politics of the voting and everything like this. Oklahoma's been a good team. They've been a good team, and they're undefeated. So being undefeated and being a good team, you're going to get ranked high. So it just is what it is. There's not a lot of undefeated teams at this point in the year. So if you're one of them still, then you're going to get ranked pretty high. So I think that that's part of it. Vegas just knows these teams. If you look at all the metrics, Iowa State seems to be the better team. I do think that the defenses are both comparable in that, Oklahoma State limits explosiveness, and I think that they're going to be they're going to be tough. But I think that is more for a team that's built on big explosive plays. Iowa State is more of a grinded out, get first downs, do what you need to do to win the game. And I just feel a very strong push for Iowa State in this game. I think Breece Hall is going to have a big game. Brock Purdy, he's just going to be solid down the stretch. He's made for these moments, whereas I think Spencer Sanders on the other side, he has moments of being spectacular, and then he's just got those turnover-worthy plays. So we'll see over the course of this game if it manifests itself or not, but it's only a touchdown. I think Iowa State's probably going to win this game by about 10 points. That's kind of where I'm feeling it. So give me Iowa State.
What if I told you that Iowa State had a post-game win expectancy of at least 60% in every game they've played so far this year? Because that's exactly what's happened. Iowa State is a couple turnovers and some bad special teams away from being undefeated so far. And they're unranked. There's a reason they're a touchdown favorite at home. I like Iowa State by 2 touchdowns. They have a better quarterback. They have a better offense. They have a better defense. They do not have better special teams. Let's just hope we don't make some more special teams mistakes in this game. I like Iowa State. I'm back on my Cyclones, Daniel. I'm back on them. Look,
Does
I had
it feel
to,
good?
It feels great. I had to jump off for such a time as this, and I can now get back on because I was fading the public being like they're playoff bound. So I'm like, no, pump the brakes. They're not playoff bound, but they still can go 10-2. Go Cyclones.
Like what we picked.
And again, one of 3 FBS teams to never win double-digit games. So let's get it done. They still got to play Texas and Oklahoma. So I don't know if we're going to get it done. But go Cyclones. I'll lay the 7 pretty easy. I like them by double digits like you.
Have you ever seen a Cowboy try to take on a Cyclone? I mean, I think the Cyclone is undefeated. Just saying. So
good luck.
Yeah. Hope you're fast. Giddy up. All right.
Here's the thing. Cowboys don't have weather apps because they ride horses and live in, the 1850s. I don't know. So best of luck to the Cowboys.
Meet me at the saloon at noon.
Let's go to the SEC. Ole Miss, LSU, they're retiring Eli Manning's jersey. Manning is painted in the end zone. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that Arch Manning is visiting Ole Miss this weekend. I'm sure it's just a coincidence they did that, but excited for Eli. Ole Miss laying 9.5 against LSU. I also think it's important that they got Arch Manning during the LSU game where he currently resides in Louisiana. So big recruiting weekend for Ole Miss. Cool weekend for, Eli Manning as an alumnus. So 9.5. Where are you going with this one, Daniel?
So you're telling me that they would need an Eli Manning 10 to win this game. You're also telling me that there's another number 10 who might be playing quarterback in this game because Matt Corral is not 100% and may not play this week. I don't know. If John Reese Plumlee is the quarterback, you know my feelings.
You love you some John Reese Plumlee.
He is an extraordinary athlete. He's an even better person. So I love Ole Miss to win this game, but LSU getting 9.5 points. They could play spoiler. They've already played spoiler. I'm taking Ole Miss. I really, I think that the juice is going to be flowing too much. Whether or not that's my one question is Matt Corral playing? Because, all jokes aside, I love John Reese Plumlee. Matt Corral is having a Heisman worthy season as far as being in New York for the Heisman. He's doing it all with his legs, with his arm, having a great year in this offense. I do think the crowd's going to be juiced. It's the 3:30 game. This is the Ole Miss showcase. It's all about, the Manning family and doing it right. So even if Matt Corral doesn't play, if there was something that came of that, I do think that they would still win comfortably. I don't think LSU is the type of team that can put back-to-back upsets on display just because of how they're built with the depth concerns and with the coaching fluctuation, things like that. I think that the news coming out this week was big news. I think that they're going to rally around Coach O, but at the same time, like I said, I don't think they're consistent enough to where it's going to matter a whole lot. Like there's still going to be quit in this team because you've already had players leave. So also I do think that they're going to be able to go against another defense that they can score on. This is LSU going against Ole Miss based on what they did last week to Florida. I do think a lot of points will be scored in this game, but you could see Ole Miss kind of do more than what Florida did, just because they have a more accurate passer. So that's something to consider as well.
You're laying the points there, right?
Sorry, yes, going with Ole Miss, laying the points. I
think
did go back and forth because I think this is a lot of this is like right at that line.
Yeah, I think LSU either wins outright or they lose by double digits. Like the game's going to play out one of those two ways. The only thing really holding me back from easily laying the 9.5 is Matt Corral's health. Mm. And like if he's 100% go, I think lay the 9.5 easy. I think there's a reason it's at 9.5 and not any further. I'll still lay the 9.5 with Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss to win this game comfortably. Big night for the school, big recruiting weekend, and that's important to win on a big recruiting weekend and to win big. A lot of cool visitors from Ole Miss this weekend. Lane Kiffin hasn't really updated anything since Monday when he said that Corral hasn't been in the best shape the last 2 days. But I trust Lane Kiffin on a recruiting weekend to put some points on the board. And if that's the case, I'll lay the points with Ole Miss. I'm right there with you. Would not surprise me at all if LSU wins this football game. That being said, Daniel, let's go. Let's stay in. No, we'll go to the West Coast for a second. UCLA and Oregon. So, again, ranked team Oregon on the road, 2-point dog to UCLA in the Rose Bowl. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, this one, my first initial gut reaction, just looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, I think UCLA takes care of them. Just Oregon's been struggling. Anthony Brown at quarterback, not explosive, basically just like you called it before the season, Jacob. Ever since CJ Verdell went down, the running game has lacked something. They can still run the ball. The offense is still has their push on the offensive line, things like that. But Verdell was kind of their difference maker. I think he's kind of that home run threat. And so not having him, I think, is a big deal. The more I sat and thought about it, though, and stewed on it, this is the type of game that Oregon comes in when they're not supposed to win it, and Cristobal just finds a way to get it done. The defense, they've had that explosive play issue down the field, specifically in the pass game. I don't think that that's a big concern. I think that UCLA is more built on the physical side on offense. They want to out physical you. They want to run the ball. They want to have intermediate passing game. So I think that's more of what they're going to try to do in this game. I think that's Oregon's strength on defense. So I'm going to take the Ducks. Give me the Ducks. Give me the 2 points. They're going on the road. I think they get the outright win, but I'm going to, roll with them, get 2 points when I do it.
I'm going to trust the team that I think has been more consistent so far, and that's UCLA. At 2 points, it's essentially a pick 'em. You don't win games by 2 points hardly ever. So you're really kind of picking a winner here with this kind of line. But I mean, UCLA, they have played their brand of football every week, and they lost to Fresno State by 3, like late in the game. That's a good Fresno State team. They lost to Arizona State, and Arizona State, a couple turnovers kind of made that score get out of hand. Another good football team, but they've played their brand of football every week. They're coming off of 2 road games. They are back at home. Oregon has the extra day because they played on a Friday, but Oregon kind of played a clunker against Cal. Like, after coming off of a loss to Stanford, I think really good teams come off of losses and then correct mistakes. Look at Alabama last week. Like, that's what good teams do. They come off a loss and they beat you, 50-something to 9. Like, that's what they do. So I don't trust that Oregon is a top 10 team. I don't think UCLA is an unranked team either. A lot of good lines this week. I'll lay the points with UCLA. I like UCLA to win. I think they have a better quarterback, a better running offense since Verdell went down. And I think UCLA gets enough stops to win by 3. How's that? 3 points.
That's all you need.
That's all I need. Speaking of Alabama, it's the 3rd Saturday in October, which means Alabama is playing, I would say a rivalry game, but a game against Tennessee. And Saban has never lost to Tennessee. So been a while. Daniel, Alabama is, let's see, let me check my notes here. That's right, 25-point favorites against Tennessee. Does Tennessee have a chance to cover?
So I guess that means I was a sophomore in high school the last time that Tennessee beat Alabama.
Don't age yourself.
No, I don't think so. Tennessee, obviously, in our wildest dreams, does not have enough to win this game. I think we can comfortably put that off. This is obviously just about the cover. 25 points. I think that's so interesting that they went there because I really do feel strongly that 3 touchdowns, I'm laying it. When you start getting to that extra field goal, that extra 4th possession, that's where I'm starting to question it. Because I think Tennessee's going to run a crap ton of plays. I think they run a crap ton of plays, and I think that's going to lend themselves to a backdoor cover, even if they're down. They're going to be trying to score, and I don't think that Alabama has the type of defense that will prevent that. I think that it's similar to Ole Miss. Obviously, you saw how Tennessee and Ole Miss played out on the field. They're built similarly. They don't have a ton on defense, and that's where you're going to notice most of the numbers gone for Tennessee. But offensively, they still have players that can make plays. Obviously, this is going to depend a lot on Hendon Hooker being out and Joe Milton being the guy most likely that's going to just roll in there and do this. I like Alabama to limit him for most of the game. That being said, because of the amount of plays that they're going to run, did I just talk myself into taking Alabama minus 25? I think I did. I'm taking Alabama minus 25 because I just mentioned the name Joe Milton and it scared me away from Tennessee. So you heard it here. Like, my soul left my body for a second. I was going to take Tennessee with 25 points because I love that number. And I still don't know. what I'm doing, but I'm going to take Alabama minus 25 because of Joe Milton.
I was excited to disagree with you when you were going the other way because speaking of number of plays, do you know how many plays Ole Miss ran last week against Tennessee's defense? 101 plays is how many offensive plays Ole Miss had last week, which means Tennessee's defense was on the field for 101 plays. That's absurd. Like 60 to 65 is pretty normal for a game as far as plays go. So 101, this defense, like that does wear on your defense. So I think Bama scores at will in this game. And like you mentioned, Hendon Hooker being day to day, it does look like they've avoided major injury with him and that he has practiced a little bit this week, but he is not at full speed right now in practice. I'm reading a report right here from Patrick Brown of Go Vols 24/7 and not 100% at practice so far. He's day to day still. That would mean Joe Milton playing, which means Joe Milton overthrowing receivers. So Alabama minus 25.
Well, and Alabama can stop like what we've talked about. You know, people try to profile the quarterback that can beat Alabama. He's got to be mobile. It's like they say that, but he's got to be mobile and accurate. And
got to have both.
And Hendon Hooker, I think, is that kind of guy. I don't know about beating Alabama, but at this point, covering is beating Alabama in this game. So it's like if you can cover, then you've done it. And I think Hendon Hooker could do that. But even if he's, if he's going to have to be more stagnant in the pocket, let's say he does play injured, he plays banged up, he's not going to run as much. Man, the offense is so much more open when he is able to scramble around a little bit. You saw down the stretch, that was kind of what they could do against Ole Miss to really give themselves a shot. Him going to getting a first down on third down, things like that. So, yeah, I feel much better. I'm going to sleep at night much better knowing that I picked Alabama. Even if they don't cover, I'll be fine.
Indiana and Ohio State. Indiana, hey, had a great year in 2020. Oh, sorry, Indiana.
RIP.
2-4, and in come the Buckeyes scorned, as I have coined them since their Oregon loss. And they scored 28 in the loss. And since then, they've scored 41, 59, 52, 66. And that is why they're 20-point favorites on the road against Indiana. That's a big point spread. Does Indiana, again, have a chance to cover in this game?
So I really liked Indiana in the spot last week because I just thought that the way Michigan State was going, that line was stinky. It turned out to be correct. That line was just right because I think Michigan State won by 5.
Yeah.
And it was a 4.5-point line. So it's like I just missed it. I felt like I was on the right side the whole time while watching the game. That being said, this is a game where Ohio State takes that step and really turns on the gas, and they're just asserts their dominance. They've already done so. You could argue with a weaker part of their schedule. They're about to have that part ramped up. I think that Indiana is a good buffer, like a good, I guess, jumping off point for the latter part of their schedule. But yeah, I just think that they're going to hit their stride, and it starts with this game. 20 points seems like a lot, but we talk about points that you're going to, scores you're going to win by, totals you're going to have. If you're just telling me that they have to be a 3-touchdown victory, that does not sound like that much, especially by game's end. I think they'll probably be leading by 2 scores at half, and then they'll kind of run away with it in the second half. I think a 28-point win feels about right for this game.
Daniel, back in August, you and I picked a national championship game of the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Georgia Bulldogs to be played out in January. I'm feeling better and better about that pick by the day, and I will lay the points with Ohio State here. This offense has turned the corner. Like, this was always going to be a young offense that was going to, with a young quarterback that was going to take a minute to click. And they're clicking. They've got the right guy at running back getting the ball a ton more in Travion Henderson. All these receivers are getting the ball spread out to them. CJ Stroud is finding his stride. The offensive line is playing better. Since handing over defensive play calling away from Kerry Coombs, the defense is playing better. When the offense is playing this good, you don't have to hold opponents to 7 points a game. You can hold them to 20 points a game because you can go score 40, 50 and still blow them out by 3 touchdowns. So I think that's how this game plays out. I don't think Indiana's offense challenges Ohio State very much. I like the Buckeyes like 45-17 here. So I like them pretty big. I'll lay those 20 points. 3 touchdowns sounds about right in this spot. Last but not least, Notre Dame, USC. This was one of 3 losses we picked for Notre Dame before the season because we thought USC, Pac-12 champs, RIP. They'll be back, though. I'm not hopping off this USC has the ability to win train just yet.
They find the right coach.
That's right. Again, a stinky line. Kind of. 7 seemed a little bit low. Then again, Notre Dame has played a ton of close games. So, Daniel, where are you going with this game?
Yeah, part of this has me like, okay, if you just gave me the game and said who wins, I think I very easily say Notre Dame. I don't think that I feel a lot of conviction otherwise. But a whole touchdown, that has me really concerned, strictly because when you said it felt like a little low, my thought is I just don't think Notre Dame is good enough to put anybody away that they play this year. And I think that USC is going to hang around. I think they're going to play with them. They're going to play with pride. This is a rivalry. I think that, they're going to be amped up. They're going to want to play their ball. I initially was just going to take USC in the points and just say, you know what, it's going to be close. I feel better if I take USC. The more I thought about it and stewed over it, the interim coach versus Brian Kelly. And I just really have a lot of respect for Brian Kelly as a coach. I think that he's going to have them ready to go. And even a 10-point win won't feel super dominant, but that's enough to get this cover. So yeah, give me the Fighting Irish. I'm going to lay the 7 at home. Give me Notre Dame.
I'm with you. I think this, Notre Dame not putting people away does scare me, and that Notre Dame is just fine winning this game by 3.
Yeah.
A win is a win is a win, right? That's kind of been their attitude this year. I just don't trust USC. Again, interim coach. What's this team playing for? They've been super inconsistent all over the board with how many points they're giving up, how many points they're scoring, like offensive, defensive efficiency. It's been all over the place. And it's because they don't have a coach right now. It's an interim coach. They're not following like a leader with a unified vision for the program. So I'm with you. I love the coaching matchup for Notre Dame. I'll lay it and kind of hide because, again, Notre Dame's not putting people away. A touchdown should be fine. This game is at home. Brian Kelly getting covers for the donors. I will lay the points with the Irish. A loaded afternoon and evening slate this week. So definitely a week where you want to have multiple screens in the afternoon and evening slate.
Potentially a snoozy nooner. All right. So
you know what that means? Someone's losing to an FCS school. So
Army is beating Wake Forest. So
hey, maybe. Maybe. You can follow him on Twitter at Deep South Daniel. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Carnes with a K, and that will do it for this edition of The Extra Point. He is Daniel. I am Jacob.